Hi, my name's Nick, and I live on a 100-year-old wooden boat, Argonaut II, and this summer I'm taking it cruising back to its history up in Bella Bella, Ocean Falls, and Rivers Inlet. Along the way, I'm cruising with other boats, meeting different people, and exploring the remote coastline of British Columbia. Last week, we talked about a visit to Alert Bay, Port McNeill, and then how to navigate your way through Cape Caution, bearing in mind all the different weather conditions, how to look at a forecast, waves, tides, and other local obstacles to make it around the Cape. We're finally in the Inside Passage and navigating northbound to Bella Bella, where Argonaut spent so much of its history operating as a medical mission boat. In the first stop, we made it to Namu, which is an abandoned cannery that officially shut down in the 70s and completely ceased operations in the 80s. All the old buildings and houses are still there, and so we took a rainy afternoon to go exploring. It was fun to walk around the beach and poke around to see what kind of artifacts and history that we could find.
Nice raft, huh, Nick?
Here I find myself rock climbing and hiking for the second time on this trip. So it's been fun. We found a bunch of little trinkets in the beach, lots of leftover trash, mostly glass and porcelain, old plates and things like that. I'm making my way over there right now, and the rest of the crew are putting themselves in the water and are going to meet me there. The last caretakers of this town left about 10 years ago, and since then, many people have come and picked their way through what was left over, grabbing any sort of bits of copper or steel or materials that they can find of value. It's a little bit haunting and sort of a doomsday feel. So some quick history. The Namu cannery was built back in 1893 and was really thriving in the 40s and 50s with full-time residents and even a local school. The plant officially closed in 1970 and continued cold storage processing to the late 80s. Walking through there feels like everyone just up and left, and although so much has been picked through, the store was still stocked with items. Shelves in the homes still had board games and puzzles and books, which gave an eerie feeling as you walk through it. Anything written inside? One of the neater and more apocalyptic areas of the cannery was the power plant, where they had all the refrigeration and the electric generation, which was all really cool big equipment, still left standing where it was.
Dude, get me one of these for Christmas, huh? It's rad.
Alright, so we're off to Bella Bella, where Argonaut spent about 35 years of its history servicing as a medical mission boat with the United Methodist Church. I'm excited to retrace some of the history of this boat and can't wait to share some of it with you all. But first, here's a little bit more drone footage of Namu, and then we'll dive into some history. So let's start talking about some of Argonaut's history. Argonaut was actually a major part of the West Coast history, and I owe an entire video just to go over the history. But for the purpose of where I am right now, I want to talk about some of its days in the medical missionary years. Argonaut was originally built in Vancouver, BC, under the name of Greta M., serving as a corporate yacht for the Powell River Company. Essentially, it took the executives up and down to the remote logging operations and then back down to the paper mill located in Campbell River. In 1936, the United Methodist Church bought the boat and renamed the boat Thomas Crosby IV after a famous missionary in the late 1800s who drove a lot of the church's mission work along the coastline of British Columbia and Vancouver Island. I'd like to share some old footage with you that was pulled from a video that documents the work that Thomas Crosby IV performed as a medical mission boat along the remote coastline of British Columbia. This is taken, I think, in the 1940s and 50s, and it really captures how special she is in a historical context.
The Thomas Crosby IV is one of the United Church West Coast marine mission ships which fly the rugged shores of Canada's Pacific coast. A coast of inlets, bays, islands, and long tidal channels. Of beauty and rugged grandeur, of hard toil and quiet, pleasurable wonder.
The most significant part of Argonaut's history is that time frame between 1936 and 1966, where it operated as a medical mission boat serving the remote canneries, logging operations, isolated communities, lighthouses all across the coastline of British Columbia.
Mail and supplies for the Kellys at Addenbrooke Lighthouse are rowed ashore by the Reverend Oliver Howard and deckhand Ken McLeod.
Argonaut, then the Thomas Crosby IV, was based out of Ocean Falls and ran trips between Smith Inlet in the south, near Rivers Inlet and Cape Caution, all the way north to Lowe Inlet, and everywhere in between. It served 18 canneries, every single lighthouse, and delivered mail, school supplies, operated as a ferry service or transportation service, and then most importantly, had a doctor on board to perform medical work.
Oh, Ernie, how are you feeling?
Better now that you're here, Doctor.
Good. Well, let's go back to Bella Bella.
How is this connected to Bella Bella? Well, for much of its life, it was operated by a man named Dr. Darby, who was a doctor out of Bella Bella, where there was a small hospital that served not only the Heiltsuk First Nation, but all the other communities in the area, and is deeply remembered by many who grew up on the boat in the 50s and 60s. What makes Argonaut so unique from all these other old, beautiful boats is instead of being a corporate yacht or private yacht only serving a few people or working as a commercial fishing boat or tug, it was a public serving boat that touched the lives of thousands of people every single year, and for that reason is very much entrenched into a community of history. What's been a really cool experience cruising this boat around Canada is that everywhere I go, I have people finding me online and sending me photos of them as children on the deck of the boat. I meet them in different places where they come down to tell me stories of their parents getting their tonsils removed or their daughter getting born on the boat. I even had a really cool experience crossing the rapids a few weeks ago where someone was waving at me and then hailed me on the radio stating that they were the engineer on this boat in 1957. And I hope to meet him down in Vancouver on my way south to get more of that story. So all in all, the boat is very connected and was a very critical part of many of the lives on this coastline. In Bella Bella, there is a lot of history with Dr. Darby, who was a very influential figure at the time, serving both as a medical doctor but also as a spiritual advisor or helping to spread the mission of the United Methodist Church.
Thomas Crosby headed back to the R.W. Large Memorial Hospital at Bella Bella to take Dr. George Darby on board for the journey south to Smith's Inlet. Dr. George Darby, head of the United Church of Canada Hospital at Bella Bella, is an ordained minister of the church as well as a medical doctor. Known for his charity, medical skill, and devotion to the coastal peoples, he could be designated as the Dr. Schweitzer of Bella Bella.
Now, I've been debating a little bit on how to present this information because there are two sides of the story. And on one hand, this boat has helped save many lives. It was the life support of many people. And a lot of the elders I talked to that I met in Bella Bella and then elsewhere across these remote communities, They speak very highly and fondly of the boat. But on the other side, Dr. Darby is somewhat of a controversial figure because at the time, the medical mission, in conjunction with the rest of the Canadian government, was to remove a lot of the cultural practices of the First Nations. And particularly in medical practice, there's been use of some very questionable practices depending on people's backgrounds and their willingness to convert to Christianity. That said, it is a very fascinating history, and it's really cool to be meeting these people and making these connections, bringing the boat back here after so many years being away. So we're stuck in Bella Bella tonight because we couldn't get the boat's move off of my boat. We met someone on the dock who went fishing today and gave us an extra fish. And then met a couple other people who we're hanging out with and hosted for drinks in the boat that are now hosting us for a lamb dinner. So we're gonna do a lamb salmon night. I have a bunch of green beans to make up. So dinner party here in Bella Bella. Alright, seared up that salmon and making our way to our new friends Sean and Monica's, who are hosting a lamb dinner tonight in Bella Bella, and should be a lovely evening. So I met some friends who live right here at the dock, so get to sit and enjoy a nice waterfront meal and look at Argonaut. See it back there? So in visiting Bella Bella, I didn't end up recording any of the interactions that I had with the elders or people of the Heiltsuk community, but I do have a few highlights as I walked around Bella Bella, including touring the big house and the cultural center, where they have a wonderful presentation of a carved out canoe and some posters and history of both the community, the Heiltsuk tradition, and a beautiful mural outside that represents the 4 different clans within the community. A major highlight for me was getting invited to the elders' house to introduce the boat and learn about anyone who might be connected with it. I sat down with about a dozen elders, and they shared with me some traditional indigenous food that you can't really find elsewhere. That included dried salmon, smoked seaweed, and herring roe on kelp. It consists of herring roe that you serve with soy sauce, as well as eulachon grease, which is a very important food here to the First Nation people of British Columbia. Out of that experience, I was able to gather the community to create space for me to pull into the docks in front of the hospital where Argonaut took thousands of patients a year in the 40s and 50s. And allowed anyone from the community to come learn about the history and its connection with the community, as well as invite elders down who have memories aboard and can take a little bit of a trip down memory lane. Overall, it was a really powerful experience for me, listening, engaging, and building my own community, and it's fun to retrace the steps of history. And with that, I'm going to leave you with a little bit more footage from that video on Argonaut's time as a mission boat.
This is no ordinary charge. The United Church of Canada must find dedicated ministers and men with stamina, sailing experience, common sense, and a practical turn of mind, such as Oliver Howard has proved. Experienced engineers and deckhands who are church workers, even lay preachers like Jack Goss, who are willing to undergo long periods away from home under rough conditions in known stormy and dangerous coastal areas like Queen Charlotte Sound, Hecate Straits, and the Pacific Graveyard off Vancouver Island. The Reverend Oliver Howard, skipper, radio operator, and minister at large in the vast territory either referred to, but in an applicable sense, as God's country, takes the United Church mission boat out of Ocean Falls 12 months out of 12. A graduate of Vancouver Union College with a home and family in Martin Valley, he and his engineer, Jack Goss, spend the major part of the year at sea. And the main cabin of the Thomas Crosby was made ready to receive the young Thomas Milton. It was his christening ceremony, performed on board because of the tides and landing conditions.
He's a pretty sick man. We'll have to leave him aboard and take him to the hospital. I'll stay with him here.
Okay, we'll follow.
In a matter of hours, with the doctor in attendance, the patient would be in Bella Bella Hospital. And now a logging camp, a lonely settlement, a cannery, a lighthouse, a helping hand without fear or favor asked. The daily task of those who sail for the United Church in what many years ago were affectionately named the Come to Jesus boats.
All right now I'm enjoying a beautiful morning in Rivers Inlet. I'm currently in Emily Bay after departing Shearwater and leaving Tally Ho for a couple days. I'm taking a 2-day cruise. There's a waterfall behind me here, behind this lake that I hiked up to yesterday. I have these beautiful mountains behind me with a lot of steep granite sheer. There's a great morning fog layer that is actually burning off right now. I'm trying to capture it at the very end. That was coming down from the lake and into the bay that I'm in, as well as these faint little whispers of clouds that were at about 1,000 feet or so this morning. I took the drone up and captured a little bit of it at sunrise.
That's all for today. Thank you all for watching. Next week, I will be splitting ways with Tally Ho and spending a little bit of time on the outside of the Inside Passage before making my way back to Bella Bella, where I'll be picking up other friends that are coming through. If you like these videos and want to support Argonaut, please like and subscribe. It's my goal to share this boat and its history with as many people as possible and to continue making these videos. I have set up ways to contribute on my website, which is linked in the description if you care to help out. And I look forward to continuing the rest of my summer cruise over the next few weeks before it then becomes boat maintenance and repair season. See you next time.